What do you know? What don't you know? Do you know anything about bees? I doubt it. Find out more on I Don't Know About That with Jim Jefferies. Hello, welcome to I Don't Know About That with Jim Jefferies. I'm Jim Jefferies. I'm here with Forrest Shaw.
Bees?
Forrest Shaw. And
Why
Kelly
bees?
Zabinski.
Why do you mention bees?
Because that could be a topic. That on one of the episodes.
Do you know about bees?
Yeah. Do you?
I have a bee tattoo.
Do you really?
Yeah, I didn't
do you
know.
have it on your knees? So you're the bee's knees?
I don't.
Where do you have it?
My arm.
Do you have any on your like parts of the body that we've never seen of you?
Yeah.
Do you have one on your ass?
No. I
Where's
have
it?
I have a tramp stamp.
Nobody
though.
has one on their ass.
Yeah, people have them.
On their
have
ass?
On their ass, yeah,
Stupid.
like a kissing tattoo, like lips, or
lips.
something is very popular.
Yeah.
Bad spot.
Someone's name on their ass. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bad
Two
spot.
two W's, one on each cheek, so when you bend over it says wow.
Or you do two M's, and when you bend over, it says mom.
Yes,
Yeah.
because mum is just wow upside down. So if it's where we don't see it and you got the tramp stamp and it's not the ass, so you have something around the vaginal area?
No, I mean, there are lots of parts of my body you can't see right now.
But there's parts I've seen most of you.
Have you?
Well, I've been around
Was I
you.
sleeping?
Yeah. Well,
No, but I've been around you. I've seen
we
you.
have HR
I
here?
assume you wear shorts, and I've seen you wear a tank top and stuff. I've seen enough.
Yeah, my arms are mostly covered, and then my sides.
Oh, there you go. The things you learned.
Yep.
I didn't know about that. So this show is about the things you know and the things you don't know. It's called I Don't Know About That. And it's because each episode we're going to have a specialist on who specializes in a particular subject. Not all subjects, because that would be ridiculous. And I'm going to be told what the specialist does. And then
you're not going to be told what they do.
no, you're going to be told what their speciality is. I'm going
Not
to guess
yet.
it.
You're going to try and guess it first.
And then I'm going to tell you all the information that I know on that topic.
Yeah.
And Forrest is going to mark me. How are you going to do that, Forrest?
Well, the three of us are going to mark you. Our guest is gonna give you a grade from 1 through 10, 10 being the best on accuracy of your information. Kelly is going to give you a grade 1 through 10 on believability.
Confidence.
Confidence. I don't even know what's going on. Confidence. And I'm going to do believability, and then we'll add that all up, and we'll see where you land on our I don't know about that thing. But any tour dates you need to announce?
No, there's nothing. The world's over.
This is the time we do it.
I don't know if I have a TV show. I don't know what's going on. All I know is about this podcast, and this is happening.
We do have an Instagram account on the podcast. So please follow that. It's IDKAT for I Don't Know About That. IDKAT podcast on IG. DM us with any topic suggestions that you have. That's all we have for announcements. There's not a lot of announcements in a pandemic.
Not a lot of announcements in a pandemic.
Stay
I
indoors.
feel like there's been a fucking announcement every day.
I think you found your bumper bar sticker idea.
Yeah.
Not a lot of announcements in a pandemic. I've stopped watching the news. Has the curve gone down? Has we flattened?
No idea.
I hear that Texas is reopening. Elon Musk tweeted out that he's
pissed
open up
off.
America.
Yeah, he's had it.
Don't do that, Elon. People, you're a genius, and people are going to listen to you.
Yeah.
And who here is going to miss quarantine?
Me.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need 10 days notice to get back in the swing
Oh,
of
for
things.
sure.
You can't go, we're opening up tomorrow. I'm not ready. I'm not ready. You gotta ease me into
Like,
it.
imagine getting the call that you have to go back to your 9 to 5 or something. You'd be like, oh, fuck this. Like, it'd be horrible.
Yeah, because there's the good things, the restaurants, the bars, the sporting
Yeah.
things opening up. And then there's the bad things, everything else.
Yeah. Yeah, it's it looks like it's gonna. The thing is, none of the states are in agreement, so it's kind of just happening.
So we now live in the ununited states of America.
Oh,
Boom!
nice.
Okay.
Mic drop.
Nice.
Take that, America.
Okay, let's introduce our guest for today. You see him on the TV screen to your right. He's not in studio, of course.
All right.
His name is Billy Corben.
Billy Corben
Yeah,
from
yeah.
the Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah. That's who it is. So
I'm going to say that your specialty is the Smashing Pumpkins.
he grew some hair. I'm sure he's never gotten that comment before either, so we'll edit that out. But
I used
anyways,
to go to school with a guy called Michael Jackson.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of Michael Jacksons.
Yeah, but he was my age. His parents already knew about Michael Jackson.
Was he black?
Michael Jackson had been No, it was Australia. What are you talking about?
No Aboriginals.
It was
Michael Jackson.
Australia in the 1980s. Like, come on now. Anyway, no, his name was Michael Jackson. Don't you think that's weird?
You mean it was a big coincidence that they named him one of the most popular?
Yeah,
boys'
it's
names?
like it's one thing to go. Okay, so the name Adolf Hitler was already.
Right.
You know, everyone was called Adolf. Now no one's called Adolf because he.
Yeah, but that's
he
different
took
than
the
Michael
name.
Jackson in the 80s. It wasn't. Adolf Hitler was
It was
bad
like
to call
John,
him in the 80s.
Michael, and Tom. That's it.
All right, let's get to our guest.
I don't know about that.
So you got his name, Billy Corben. Now this is a game we play, Billy, called Judging a Book by Its Cover. It's a game that we play in real life. We look at people and decide whether we'd be friends with them just based on their looks, or, you know, like Jim says, the other one that I'm sure you've played this, whether you'd sleep with somebody
Would
or
you
not.
fuck a person or not?
Yeah.
Billy, you've got a solid yes.
So Jim's gonna ask you some yes or no questions, and then he has to guess and see if he knows what.
All right, I'm looking. Are you a scientist?
No.
No, you're not a scientist. Have you written books?
No.
All right, fuck. He's the same as me. I'm not a scientist, and I've never written a book. Oh, we're like one.
Have you read a book?
No, not many.
See?
Not many. People always go to me, "Have you read this book?" I go, "Unless it's Chevy Chase's biography, the answer is no."
Do you have hemorrhoids, Billy?
Not yet.
That's where you
we're,
differ.
We're
Jim.
very different people.
okay.
All right, so you're not a scientist. You haven't written a book. Do you give lectures?
Not for a living.
Not for a living. All right, so you just annoy folks at parties.
We've been giving you 3 questions up to this point. We're gonna give you 5 today, Jim.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you wear a suit to work?
No.
Oh, okay.
That was a terrible question.
Why?
How's that gonna help you?
Because I could find out if he was a
I
business
know, but you only have 2
guy.
left. Okay, you got to learn how to play this game.
He's a
better.
business guy. He's not a scientist. He's not a business guy.
Yeah.
He hasn't written a book. He doesn't really officially give lectures.
Okay, here you go.
That's because
You got one more question.
he's in a Beatles tribute band.
He's an expert in the cover songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Close, very close.
I have no. Okay. Are you?
You got one more.
You work with boats?
No.
No. All right. Then
What if we give him a clue? Part of what he does is something you're really into.
That's his main profession, but he's not talking about that today. But he's talking about something specifically that he's done in that profession that you're really into.
You make Philly cheesesteaks.
That's it. Welcome, Billy.
But he's talking about chicken Philly cheesesteaks. It's very specific. So.
You work in porn.
No, Jesus. Okay.
Well, they're my only 2 interests. If it's not porn, Philly cheese.
Okay, let me introduce him. Billy Corben is he makes documentaries.
I love documentaries.
Yeah, I know. We said that.
They're like my
But it gets even
favorite.
better.
They're like my favorite things.
Yeah.
And specifically, he is here to talk to us about steroids in baseball from his documentary Screwball on Netflix. I don't know if you've seen that yet, but Billy Corben, thanks. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
A documentarian. Do you like to be called documentarian?
I do.
Oh.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah, okay. All right, documentarian Billy Corben of the Smashing Pumpkins. All right,
Maybe you've
so
seen some of his other documentaries, though. Have you seen Cocaine Cowboys?
I have not seen Cocaine
Oh,
Cowboys.
I saw that.
Ah, that's a really good one.
I've seen Cowboys on cocaine
Yeah.
in real life.
Yeah.
What was he did the 30? He did a couple of 30 for 30s. Broke.
Oh, Broke. I love Broke. Broke's the one where they all sit around going, yeah, I should have bought that car wash.
Yeah.
Every 5 seconds. Yeah, I invested in tomatoes because there's tomatoes and ketchup. Yeah, that's a good documentary. That one.
Yeah.
That one you don't even need footage. You just interview people. They just sit there, just going, yeah. All my friends will be standing around my car on payday.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So you like documentaries, you love baseball.
I love baseball.
And so that's what we're talking about today. Steroids, specifically steroids and baseball, but steroids in general as well too. And so welcome to the show. So all right, Jim, tell us right now everything that you think you know, not just about steroids, like what they are, how they work, stuff like that,
Well-
but also how it relates to baseball and anything you know about steroids and baseball. We'll give you about
human
up?
growth steroids, right? Which is probably the most popular of all the steroids. These are performance enhancing drugs that are different to the other drugs that I've taken through my life, which don't enhance your performance in any way.
At all.
At all?
They're actually hindrance to what you're meant to be doing. Performance hindrance. And why are they still banned? I've never understood that. Why can't you smoke weed and then go out and play baseball? Because it's not helping you. Cocaine makes your heart feel like it's going to fall out of your chest. And you should be able to play sport on that, surely. But performance enhancing drugs, so let's say human growth hormones, they're not for humans. They come from cattle, which they pump into sheep and stuff like that. I've seen a little vial of it before, and it says for livestock. And so they use that onto mostly sheep and chickens and cows to make them bigger. And then you've got other drugs that you put in animals that we put in, like ketamine is a horse tranquilizer. So that one wouldn't be good for sport. That's also another animal one that's crossed over. That's the only reason I brought that up.
Yeah, it's fun.
Now, the first people to start taking drugs of steroids, God, so Arnold Schwarzenegger was doing it in the 1970s.
What about in sports? Where do you think that started? How far back?
Well, I'm thinking about it. I would say in the 1960s was when it really came into sports. Was when people started going, that's when all the linebackers and stuff like that started to get massive. And now many of those players from the 70s, so I imagine it started before, so late 60s, early 70s. So a lot of those guys from the 70s have started dying from it sort of more recently now, from their overuse of steroids, or they started to die in the 90s from it. In baseball, it really took off. The steroids really took off around the Mark McGwire era, and that was the mid 90s. And he was having a home run record chase with another fella. Fucking forgot his name. Right, but Mark McGwire, he pounded himself. And then Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds filled himself with steroids.
Wasn't Barry Bonds, but yeah. We're going to rate
No,
you.
but this is a different thing.
Barry
Barry Bonds is probably your stereotypical person who did. That's why he won't get in the Hall of Fame, because people say that he took too many steroids. And if you look at the old games that he used to play when he played for the Pirates before he went for San Francisco, he was just like a normal sized guy. And then like 1 year he came back and he was just fucking massive. Right? Now today, I think that the drugs aren't as prolific as they were back then. But I think that people are still taking them to a certain extent. But now it's they have better masking agents, and also the steroids might not be for size anymore. They might be for agility and stuff like that. I don't know.
Okay. And what about Major League Baseball? Their stance on it.
Major League Baseball, they
like how they handled the steroid situation, and then we're going to grade you.
They started testing everybody, and then they started giving suspensions. Like when I first started following baseball, D. Gordon, I think, was suspended for, 3 months or something like that. Because
that's a funny one, yeah.
Yeah,
he's huge.
Because he's such a tiny little fella. Yeah, he's really slight fella, and he got done for taking him. I think just suspensions and stuff like that. But I don't know if because I just been watching that Michael Jordan documentary, and they talk about where the Chicago Bulls were like all on cocaine in the 80s. They were all like all coked up. And so obviously, and I've met athletes before who have taken drugs, and I've even seen athletes take actual drugs. And so I don't know I think you get tested like maybe once or twice a year. I don't think it's very common.
I think athletes are doing a lot of drugs.
Yeah.
And whether they're illegal or steroids or recreational. I years ago, I don't know if he was on drugs, but when I was gambling, I was at a nightclub in Miami Beach, Crowbar, and I saw David Wells, who was a pitcher for the New York Yankees. And he was pitching the next day against the Marlins, and he was hammered at like 2 a.m. It was a noon game, so that means he had to be on the mound in 10 hours. I called my bookie the next morning, and I put a shit ton of money on the Marlins. And David Wells went out and pitched like a 2-hitter. But I was like, these fucking guys are like they're beasts.
You got to put yourself back into when you were in your 20s.
I know,
and
but
stuff.
David
Your
Wells
resilience
he was a fat, out of shape. It doesn't matter. He went out there and he dealed. I was like, all right, never do that.
Yeah, Jordan used to get caught going to casinos until 2 a.m, and then the next day he'd score 40 points, 45 or something like that. So,
all right, so Billy, you've been listening to Jim's. Let's
Oh, okay. Also, steroids for the most part are injected straight into your muscle, into your ass cheek. That's where they put them. Because I used to work with a bartender when I was living in Sydney when I was about 18 years old.
What is it, into your ass cheek?
You just pump the needle straight into the muscle. You don't put it into your vein.
Only in the ass, the steroids.
Well, the ass is the most forgiving. If you've ever had like one of those antibiotics for like chlamydia, which I know you have, Forrest, right?
Yes. I've talked about it. Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't have it, and I got it.
I didn't have it either. I had an infected testicle from riding on a Peloton. Anyway, I did.
You don't see that in the
Peloton
commercials.
commercial.
That was. I had one of my balls. We'll go on a deviation here. One of my testicles one day. Remember, I was at work. It started hurting a little bit.
I remember everyone remembers the testicle
The
thing.
entire
Yes.
office
Yeah.
knew about it.
And then it started throbbing and throbbing and throbbing, and then it swelled up like a fucking grapefruit. Like it was no good.
You talked about it on Conan.
Yeah, well, that was the thing is I had to cancel Conan because I couldn't physically sit down.
Yeah.
I would have been all right to sit on the stage at Conan, but I couldn't have done the walk. I was walking with a limp and just going, oh, right? Anyway, that day, some reporter wrote that the reason I didn't go on Conan was because I got drunk the night before and I was too hungover to get on the screen. Fucking fuck you cunt.
I remember that day, and I was like, "Where's Jim?" And somebody just casually walked by, like, "Oh, he's coming blood." And I was like, "What? Like,
yeah.
Why are we talking about this so casually?"
Yeah, I was shooting blood out the end of me dick. It wasn't a good day. And then they put an ultrasound on it, like I was a pregnant woman on me scrotum, and this testicle was just going boom, 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 boom. It was like a fucking.
You're like, am I pregnant?
It was like a heart was in my scrotum. It was fucking bad, man. So they inject. The point of the story is they injected my ass with this needle.
Steroids. There you go.
Yeah, they inject it straight into the muscle. Where if you do a drug like heroin or something like that, you inject it into your vein. This is just pumped straight into the body in that regard.
So I'm gonna ask you one more question, and I can see Billy's chomping at the bit to correct you or not correct you, or grade you at least. One more question. We're gonna take a quick break, and then we'll be back with Billy. So, do you know what the Mitchell report is?
The Mitchell report was the report on steroid use in baseball.
Oh. We're gonna take a quick break.
Yep.
And yeah, we'll be back with Billy Corben.
Okay, guys, if you want to smell my balls, do it tomorrow. Because I have all these products here from Manscaped. Make sure your balls are smooth while you or your partner are playing with them. Manscaped promotes clean hygiene when it comes to shaving your balls thanks to the Lawnmower 3.0. No, nicks. I believe you use this product.
I have many of their products. I have the lawnmower, which if you're gonna shave your ball, it doesn't cut you. It works perfectly. And I also have the plow. It's like their regular razor. It's like all their products. I haven't used the ball cleaner yet though.
I used to just use the clippers that I use on my face, and several times I've nicked my testicles. So you're saying this won't nick my testicles?
No, it's the best. I'm telling you, it's like magic. This product.
I have got Testicle Perfume.
I don't think that's what it's called.
I have.
What is it called on there?
Ball deodorant.
Okay, just
ball deodorant.
What's the other one called?
It's called cologne.
Okay.
Testicle. I got. Who has ever heard of such products? Hair and body wash. Where do they come up with these days? And foot deodorant. Yeah, I could use that.
Everything that smells on your body is going to smell better.
Manscaped is forever changing the grooming game with their Perfect Package 3.0 precision engineered tools for your family jewels. The Perfect Package 3.0 kit comes with its new improved Lawnmower 3.0 waterproof cordless body trimmer and a ton of other liquid formulations to round out your manscaping routine and keeping your balls smooth as eggs and smelling fresh. I have a sneaky suspicion my balls don't smell as fresh as they could. But I can never get me nose right down there, but people they don't like them.
You've never taken your... Okay.
I put my finger down there and then sniff me finger. I do that.
It's going to be fun after this.
After this, my finger's going to smell good. That's what I'm looking forward to. For a limited time, subscribers will get not one, but 2 free gifts. This is the perfect package for your perfect package. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code I don't know. That's IDONTKNOW at manscaped.com. That's MANSCAPED.com. Manscaped. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com using the promo code I don't know. Do yourself a favor and always use the right tools for the job.
Hey, we're back. So Jim has just told us everything he thinks he knows about steroids in baseball, and we asked him a couple other questions. So Billy Corben is with us, the director and writer of Screwball on Netflix. So Billy, how do you feel Jim did on 1 through 10, 10 being the best, on accuracy on his knowledge of steroids and baseball?
Extraordinarily impressive.
Hey!
I honestly would. Everything he said was basically on point, or at least had that veneer of truthiness where he was accurate enough, or you could tell obviously knew his shit, if not to a T. So I had to give him. I'd give him 8.5.
I'm going to call my next special Veneer of Truthiness.
It's not bad.
8.5. Yeah, that was all right. Good score there.
I'm starting to feel like this podcast is gonna give Jim just like unstoppable confidence.
This is like, yeah. We're gonna. I mean,
we're gonna create a monster here.
We got to start picking some topics so we know we're just gonna tank them.
Yeah.
I guess that's like, but
Your demise is coming soon. Jim.
So on your believability, right?
I'm confidence.
I forget every time.
Yeah.
It's almost the same thing, isn't it?
Sort of.
Okay. Yeah.
I would say he wasn't as like in your face about it today. So I'm gonna go confidence was a 9.
That's still really good. That's
Yeah.
17.5 points so far. Believability, you were a lot better than some of the other subjects we've done. So
Well, I knew nothing about the last one. I really bullshitted my way through that
yeah,
one.
this says but I'm gonna give you a 7. This is pretty hard. So that's 25.5. Which puts you as a baby Einstein in our
All
category.
right.
I know that you said the baby Einstein would be dumb.
Yeah, he would. He didn't talk till he was 5.
Well, you're not.
The baby Einstein would just be like rolling around.
Yeah,
with
well.
his stupid hair.
Yeah, well, that's you. Yeah.
I like that the baby still had the hair.
Yeah, still had the hair. I always love when people have that picture of Einstein. There's certain photos of a picture of Einstein with his tongue sticking out. All right, that floats your boat. Or the picture of Johnny Cash giving the finger. That one boils my fucking blood.
Well, here's the thing. Billy said you knew
Johnny Cash.
that you were pretty accurate on a lot of stuff, but also there's a lot of stuff that you don't know about this subject. So we're gonna get into that. So Billy, welcome to the show. You haven't spoken much yet, but thanks for being here. I don't know where you want to start talking about like steroids in general or steroids of baseball, if you want to talk about specifically some of the stuff in the documentary of Screwball. But as far as like steroids in sports, Jim was talking about the first athlete to ever use steroids in the 60s. Is that correct? Or is that, do you know when the first?
No, I mean, it's a lot earlier than that, but then there's also the difference between anabolic steroids and what Jim was talking about, which is HGH, which is a much more contemporary version of HGH is actually not a steroid, but all of this falls under the umbrella of performance enhancing drug. So if you go back to even the 1800s, you have baseball players that were doing, miracle elixir type of shit that were drawn from the testicles of various creatures that they were injecting into themselves.
Yeah.
But did that chemically change them, or was that just bullshit? Was that?
It's tough to say. There were certain people that proselytized about it. There was a pitcher out of Pittsburgh, Pud Galvin, in 1889, who was really the earliest.
Pud.
Pud. Yeah, Pud Galvin. He was the earliest. He's credited as one of the first, if not the first, baseball player to admit to using steroids, and he believed in it. He was like, "I'm gonna take this liquid from the testicles, or extracted from the testicles of dogs and guinea pigs, and inject it into myself," or as Forrest calls it, breakfast.
Got him.
So you two know each other, right?
Yeah.
How do you know each other?
Miami connection. Yeah.
Miami connection. What? You're both part of the cartel. What are you fucking
I know.
talking
Be
about?
more specific.
There's always a Miami connection.
Yeah. Well, but you're from Miami as well, right? I mean, you're.
You did bath salts together? What are you talking about? Miami connection.
Well, I met Billy at a comedy club years ago because Billy's a big comedy fan, and it was and he almost all of your documentaries, right? And there's maybe a few, but most of them have some connection tie back into Miami or Florida or South Florida in general. And I know there's a few, but Yeah.
Almost always, including Screwball, which it focuses on the biogenesis steroid scandal with Alex Rodriguez and Tony Bosch.
Yeah, it's all places all the bars that all these characters met at, and I'm like the Sports Grill in South Miami and Monty. There's all these places I've drank and ate at and stuff, and so it's like, yeah, but I know Billy from Miami. I've run into him in the airport a million times, like probably not a million, but a couple times, like flying to and from LA.
I like how you stipulated it wasn't a million.
Yeah,
We're like, wow, that's a lot.
Because the rest of us
times.
was like, wow, you really have seen each other a lot. You went, oh, I exaggerated then. That was an exaggeration a couple of times.
So yeah, it says Pud Galvin. It was something called Brown Sequard Elixir.
Okay,
And-
well, while we're on this,
Sequard.
what is it with baseball players having stupid names?
yeah.
Well, did his parents call him Pud, or was Pud a nickname?
See, this is the thing that it's like if I went to a school with a kid named Pud Galvin, then you'd be like, what a coincidence, and you're like, you're saying that
Yeah.
about Michael Jackson.
Yeah, Pud Galvin.
Yeah, I don't know a single other Pud.
Babe Ruth.
Yeah,
Babe's
Yeah,
not his real name. Is that-
Jock Peterson.
Jock's his real name, isn't it?
Rusty,
Yeah, Jock-
Rusty Kuntz.
Yeah, Jock.
Rusty Kuntz.
Oh, yeah.
Who's Rusty Kuntz?
Rusty- Well, I think they say it's pronounced Kuntz, but I pronounce it Rusty Kuntz.
His name's
K-U-N-
Rusty Cunt. What about Misty Hyman, the swimmer? Do you remember Misty Hyman?
Yeah.
No.
Who called it? There was a swimmer, American swimmer called Misty Hyman, she was in the Olympics.
Oh,
But it says Pud here was a dominant pitcher, so it did work. And
Oh yeah, he's the first MLB pitcher, I think, to win 300 games.
holy cow. And then this is a Babe Ruth was said to try injecting himself with sheep testicles, but it didn't work. It made him ill.
Why did Babe Ruth do that? Yeah, I don't get the point. Like, so Babe Ruth now is injecting himself. All he did was drink beer and eat hot dogs, right? They reckon, and then just sleep around, all that sort
Yeah.
of stuff.
There's actually a really good reason for that. The baseball season
Because
is
it's
one of the
fun.
most
It's
grueling-
just so fun.
but it's one of the most grueling in professional sports. I mean, even though it kind of seems like they're one CBA away from hitting the ball and jumping on a golf cart between bases, like they still have a 162 game season in 180 days. So these guys are
It's a
worn
summer.
out, and
Yeah,
they're
it's a
looking
summer.
they're
Yeah.
looking for anything that they can do. And even back in the 50s, you had the Yankees like Mickey Mantle and Whitey Ford and Billy Martin, who were up all night, like you saw in Miami, Forrest,
Yeah.
at like the Copacabana, and then they have to wake up for a 1 p.m. game tomorrow. They were popping greenies, which are basically amphetamines, pep
Jesus.
pills, and so there was always a performance-enhancing drug. Steroids is synthetic testosterone, but whether it was that or it was something to some form of speed, ball players have been doing it forever, and it was really. You were close with the 60s. The Mitchell report places it about 1973 that steroids were really caught on in
Oh,
Major League
73. Oh, wow. But that's the question you're asking, Jim, is like, why would Barry Bonds or A-Rod or these guys were already Hall of Famers without doing steroids? So like, why would they do them?
Because they want to be even better.
Yeah, but they were already great, Like A-Rod was on the cover of Sports Illustrated in high school. Like he was already good, It was like,
But there's a couple, like, remember, you were talking about, Jim was talking about the home run race in 1998, which was Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa. That was the other
That's
name.
Sammy Sosa. That's
Right.
what I was looking
Yeah,
for.
you were close. But Barry Bonds
I
came
wasn't
up
close. I didn't say your
afterwards.
name at all.
you almost got it.
I said
you said the other guy. You were close.
the other guy.
No, but you said Barry Bonds, and you were right. He came up after McGuire and
Yeah.
beat the McGuire beat the Maris record, and then Barry Bonds came up behind him. But all three of those guys were juicing, every single one of them. And after the 94-95 strike in Major League Baseball, which was the longest work stoppage in the history of the league, it was the longest work stoppage in professional sports at that time in history until the NHL beat it out years later. But it was also the first time since 1904 that they canceled the World Series, the whole postseason.
Mhm.
And really, there was legitimate concern that America's pastime was dead. And it was that home run race in 1998 that brought the eyeballs and the attention and the imagination of America and the world
did
back
you
on,
say
and
that-
saved steroids saved the sport.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Steroids saved the sport.
Did you say there was also a World Series cancelled in '84? What was that all about?
that was.
No, 1904.
1904. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
that's
because
different.
Jim is a big baseball fan, but you didn't get into what year?
I got into baseball in the year 2000.
You didn't miss anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew nothing about the sport until then. How I got into it was I used to party a lot. Oh no, it was even later than that. I got into baseball about 2007, right? So what happened was I used to party a lot around then, and I used to get in, and for whatever reasons I couldn't sleep.
In England.
After I was going out, I couldn't sleep.
But in England.
In England, yeah. And so they would play on just a regular channel, one baseball game every night at like 2 a.m. because it was English time.
Yeah.
And so I used to stay up and watch it, and I set myself a little task to figure out the sport. I didn't have the internet or anything at this stage. I had to figure out the sport just by watching it. So it took me a year to figure out what RBI
There
meant.
was the internet in 2007.
Oh, I didn't have it.
Okay.
He still doesn't know how to use it.
Yeah, I didn't have it. If I had to use it, I had to go to like a cafe or something.
Were you a terrorist?
I didn't own a computer. I remember once saying to another comic who brought his laptop into a fucking dressing room, like berating the cunt, just going, "What the fuck? Are you a businessman? Why would a fucking comedian ever need a computer?" Like just thinking, well, this isn't going to catch on. So I used to watch baseball late at night all by myself. And then the first thing I did when I came to America, and it was about 2008 when I first came to America just to, have some meetings and stuff like that. First thing I did was I went and saw the Dodgers play. And it was Nomar Garcia Parra bobblehead night. That's how I remember it. That's where you can find the date.
Yeah.
And it was very exciting, but we lost. And this was the days before Uber, right? Where I just called up a cab and he was like, no.
To come get you from
Getting out
Dodger.
of Dodger Stadium was a fucking
Can you
nightmare.
come and get me from Dodger Stadium? So
Have you been to
to
Dodger Stadium, Billy, ever? It's a nightmare to
No,
get in and out.
fucking
It's
nightmare.
I've been there.
it's a nightmare to get in and out of if you've never been.
Also, it was pretty rough back then too.
Yeah.
In 2008.
Yeah, I walked down to like Silver Lake or whatever,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
tried to. But this is when LA was like everyone was just drink driving.
Yeah.
Like no one gave a fuck because you just couldn't. Uber saved so many lives. One day we'll do a show on Uber. Oh, I know everything about them. They're a fucking game changer. My life picked up so much.
So
Marlins
baseball.
Park is really easy to get into.
Oh, yeah.
because nobody goes there.
Yeah, no one goes there. You can park your car in the stand. you can go to Marlins games and
drive-in
watch it like a
stadium.
drive-through.
That would be awesome.
That actually would be really cool.
Yeah, until your windscreen gets smashed in by a home run.
It's funny. 2007, the year you got into baseball, is the year that the Mitchell Report came out.
Yeah.
Actually, and which was all precipitated by the Balco scandal on the West Coast in the San Francisco Bay Area. And that's what really blew steroids in baseball wide open. We all knew what was going on because Mark McGwire went from like this skinny kid into like a neck like my waist, like over an off season basically. So
Right.
everybody knew, but nobody cared because they were smacking these balls to Guantanamo every game, and it was a big thrill to watch that.
I'm sure his neck was a lot more solid than your waist. I don't want to be mean, but
I'm certain of that.
and
But it was the thickness
it's the
of my
same
waist.
thickness.
Of my waist.
And the whole thing about saving baseball, it's not understated because I was starting to fall out of I started to stop watching baseball. I've always been a basketball guy, but baseball is like my second favorite sport to watch now. But for a while, I was falling out. And then that year, I went to a Marlins game when the Cardinals came to town, and McGwire hit 2 home runs, and the Marlins weren't drawing then either. And the place was packed. I mean, the whole stadium was packed just to watch Mark McGwire hit home runs. So it's not understated. And Major League Baseball, even in your documentary, and you're saying it's like they were all for it. They were all for it.
Did they turn a blind eye because of this?
Unquestionably.
Oh, okay.
I mean, Bud Selig was the steroid commissioner. He's in the Hall of Fame. He should have an asterisk by his name. I mean, nobody profited more from steroids in baseball than the commissioner of baseball, Bud Selig. And that's how this whole thing came to a head, is that he wanted to give the impression by the time the 2000s rolled around that he was actually going to take action and do something about it. And they made a deal with the players, with the union, the players union, that they were going to anonymously test players in like 2003. And if more than 5% of the players tested positive for steroids, they were going to institute a regular random testing regimen under the agreement that all of the results of the tests would be destroyed. So 2 things happened. Spoiler alert, there was more than 5% of players that tested positive for steroids. So by 05, they instituted a regular testing
How
regimen.
how much more?
Yeah.
We don't know. They never released that statistic. But
Well, I do. 17%.
yeah,
17.
but they banned steroids in baseball in '91, but never really had a way of enforcing that. So by 2005, they had a way of enforcing that. But here's the interesting thing. They didn't destroy the test results as they promised. Someone at the laboratory absconded with them and leaked them to the press in 2009 when we discovered that all these guys, including A-Rod, had all tested positive back in '03 for steroid use, all the while having denied that they ever used steroids. And in the interim, you had the Balco scandal in '02, you had the congressional hearings by '04, '05, you had George W. Bush mention steroids in baseball in his State of the Union in 2004, like this was some sort of federal case. Barry Bonds, of course, was charged with lying to a grand jury with perjury and obstruction of justice in the steroid and baseball investigation. And this whole clusterfuck basically created the Mitchell Report, which led baseball players to say, okay, how can we cheat without violating the new rules? And that was the shift from anabolic steroids and synthetic testosterone into human growth hormone and into real testosterone treatments, all of which is legal if it happens with a doctor, with a prescription, with a legitimate pharmacist, but it was illegal and banned all the while in professional sports.
And it's legal for me to take steroids. Is that what you're telling me?
With a doctor and a prescription and a legit pharmacist, but that's
it'll help you too.
So this isn't the animal stuff that I was talking about.
No, well, it turned into that because
they banned the other stuff. Okay.
They banned it, but then what happened was the players had to move into the black market because they were on the down low. They had to move into the illicit underworld of testosterone.
Is taking steroids good for you? I heard that if you take steroids. Okay, so what happened to what's his name, the bicycle rider who took him? Lance Armstrong. He got the cancer. I heard this might be you have to monitor it because everything in your body grows. Everything grows, not your organs, but everything grows. So a tumor might be small, and then the steroids can enhance the tumor, and it'll grow along with muscles. Is that correct, or is that a fallacy?
The science is in dispute, but there is statistical data that shows that there is a higher rate of cancer also in your offspring. People who abuse steroids can pass along. There's I think a higher rate of childhood cancer, of autism in the offspring of people who abuse steroids.
So that's why a lot of athletes, it seems like a lot of athletes have autistic children. Like, I'm not just like saying that. It just seems like it's a high percentage. I don't know if that's like.
Well, I don't want to say anything mean here, but they're athletes, and they're having children with models, and you're expecting these.
They're not autistic.
You're expecting Einsteins to fall out of these fucking people. Come on now.
Okay. You know what's interesting though, Billy, because and in the documentary and Screwball is you just said that these athletes had to turn to the black market, like Balco. I'd never seen the storefront of Balco till Screwball, the documentary. And also the biogenesis. I didn't know where that was, but I know exactly where it is. It's in Coral Gables. It's right where the manatees, like, because I used to be a marine biologist. Everybody knows that. It's where manatees gather. But they're like these kind of shithole office fronts that these super high profile athletes were dealing with. It's like, it was crazy.
So in states like California and Florida, where there are young people and also people getting older who want to preserve their youth, there was this explosion of anti-aging clinics in the zeros. And these were clinics run by, in many cases, shady operators, people who were just entrepreneurs who would essentially rent the DEA numbers and the prescription pads of legitimate doctors. And in Florida, we have a lot of retired doctors who are on the golf course all day and not making any money. So they would get a piece of the action by being the medical director at these anti-aging clinics like Biogenesis, which were really nothing more than strip mall storefront businesses. Right. And they get to put a doctor's name on the door, but there was no doctor there. There was a dude in there who was illegally prescribing these drugs. And then when he couldn't keep up with the demand anymore, or he couldn't get prescription pads, he would go to the black market and wind up with guys making synthetic testosterone and HGH in their garages in South Florida. And so, you basically had these baseball players who were dealing with a fake doctor, a guy who called himself doctor but was not, and wore a lab coat but wasn't actually a doctor, who was writing illegal prescriptions and selling God knows what for these guys to ingest and inject.
That reminds me of when in California you had to have a medical card to get marijuana.
Mhm.
And I went in to go see a doctor on Venice Beach.
Yeah.
You know, it was one of these ones where there was a guy at the front of this doctor's surgery in a big foam weed leaf, like dancing around going, come in and get a prescription, right? And so I went, I want to get involved in that, right? So I go in, there's no doctor. They just sat me down at a card table and they flipped open a computer and it was like a doctor on his lunch break, eating a sandwich and playing solitaire on a laptop, right? And he goes, so what symptoms do you have? And I went, I was going to go in there with, I have headaches. And I had this whole list of shit that I was going to say to get my weed card, right? And I started like this. I was going to go, I have headaches and I also have acute problems with sleeping. And sometimes I have pain in my lower back. And I was going to go on about all these things. So I definitely get my weed card. And all I did was I went, I have headaches. And he goes, and do you think that marijuana would help? I do. Okay, go to the front counter.
That's exactly what happened to me. I was like stressed out, like rehearsing my speech, and I was like, I have trouble sleeping. He's like, okay, sign this. And I was like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah, it was the easiest fucking thing I've ever done was get a weed card. It took seconds.
Which it makes it ridiculous that you even have to even go in there. It's like, why couldn't I just do it online?
I remember my girlfriend was like, you're on a list now. You're on a list. They'll know that you're a weed taker. And I'm like, yeah, like, well, that's no good.
Jim, when you got into the Dodgers, was Manny Ramirez on the team? Or
that was the last year. No, that was before Manny Ramirez. Yeah, before that.
Okay, because so in the documentary, which I'm sure you're gonna watch after, it's really good.
What happened to him? He's like playing in the Mexico League now or something,
I'm
right?
sure Billy can tell you. Yeah, because he's featured in the documentary. So
he was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, Manny literally, because I think he signed his Dodgers deal in 2009. I think it was a 2-year, $45 million deal. And this speaks to your question earlier. Why would these guys do it for $45 million for 2 years? And he had been going to Tony Bosch, Dr. Tony Bosch, and biogenesis in Coral Gables, Florida for, I guess, almost 2 years at that point. And he was getting testosterone therapy. I think Tony Bosch had tested his blood and said he had like the testosterone level of like a 90-year-old man. And so he was trying to give him his groove back. And testosterone was illegal in baseball, a banned substance. And that's how Manny got his groove back. And I suspect, by the way, that a lot of this may have been a placebo effect because this guy was a coke addict, Tony Bosch, and he was burning through money. It was going right up his nose. So I think at some point he wasn't even able to secure the product he needed and was probably pumping these guys with sugar water. But that's how superstitious athletes are. Manny started to play better and nailed that contract for $45 million in
so you think maybe it wasn't even enhancing for him?
Well, he did get busted. Yeah.
So what is like testosterone? Because I think, okay, so I'm losing my hair, right? So that means I've got higher rates of testosterone, right? That means I have a high rate of it, or is that bullshit?
I don't know.
Because I'll tell you this, I've never missed an erection. It's always taken a while. Sometimes it takes a while. Sometimes you might have to work it and play with it a bit, but it always turns up to the party eventually.
I'm not going to work it. What do you mean?
I'll have to work it. There's a lot of swearing and saying, I hate you in the mirror to make it happen.
But so yeah, because in the doc, I love the part where they go to the Alex Rodriguez's place, and he opens the door, and that's what he said. Like Tony Bosch says, the first words out of his mouth were, "I want what Manny had," right? And
that was after Manny got busted.
Yeah,
you're right. Manny pissed dirty in 2009, and then A-Rod was right on top of it. A-Rod wasn't like, I want to avoid this guy or I don't want to do what he did. A-Rod was, getting up there in years. He was getting older. He wasn't able to perform the way that he used to. And, he was probably nearing, obviously closer to the end of his career than the beginning of it. And he wanted to get that pep back in his step. And he went to Tony Bosch and said, I want what Manny was taking, even though he knew that Manny was juicing and Manny had failed a drug test.
Here's a question I have. I don't know. So why is it always baseball? They're definitely taking steroids in other sports. Why is it always?
Well, they always find it out in the Olympics. The Olympics are really cracked down on it, and they had what in Russia they were passing piss through fucking walls and shit.
But they've got to be taking it in football for sure.
And then the
basketball.
German swimmers. Remember the German swimmers where those I was about to say those bitches were. There were some big ass bitches swimming for that German team, right?
Yeah.
And then I remember like I think it was China. There was that girl who got out of the pool and she had the muscles of Arnold Schwarzenegger on her back, like in a swimsuit.
Yeah, but major sports like football.
The Olympics is a major sport. Lots of people watch it.
But you know what I'm saying? But like football, basketball, even like soccer, there's got to be something.
I don't know if it would help as much with
not
soccer.
to bulk up in soccer, but to get the energy or something. I don't know.
Yeah, well, to get speed because runners do it, right? Like runners are always on steroids, right? The Carl Lewis
help you to heal from injury as well.
So what's the downside? It sounds like steroids are awesome. You haven't said any downside.
I think it does beg the question: who gives a shit about steroids in professional sports?
Right.
You know Adderall is a performance-enhancing drug. So if your kid does Adderall and gets into Yale, and my kid doesn't do Adderall and doesn't get into Yale, didn't your kid cheat? Isn't that a performance-enhancing drug ostensibly? It's the question of who gives a shit. I think who does give a shit actually is whatever percentage of professional athletes who are competing in your league and members of your players association or union that don't want to poison their bodies and don't want to possibly endanger their offspring. They say that's not fair because in order to compete, I have to fucking cheat. I have to do drugs. I have to poison my body, and they don't want to do that. So
do you want it or not?
They're nerds.
Yeah, go for it. fucking narcs.
Because baseball, I mean, MLB, the commissioner, they really still kind of want them to cheat, though, right? Even though they say they're testing and they're suspending people. I mean, you know, if all things being equal, do you think like they would be like?
Well, listen. Professional sports has turned into what everything in this country, including politics, has become, which is the WWE. You know, and so it's all about storylines. I mean, how else is A-Rod?
Do they take steroids? The people in the WWE.
No.
Is there steroid use in that?
I hate to break your heart and crush your heroes, but it's possible that there is some steroid.
Let's just go on a little detour now about the WWE.
Okay.
When I was a kid, I find anyone who supports, like I know Ron Funches really likes it. I like Ron a lot, but I find that weird. Adults who watch it. My friend Brendan Burns watches it, loves it.
Katie Dirks she has a podcast about
people who love wrestling. It's like who am I to tell people what they can and can't enjoy, right?
Yeah.
So obviously they enjoy it, but I don't get it. I'm like, what the fuck is it? After you know it's fake, why would you ever watch it?
Yeah, I was into it as a kid, and now I'm just like, whatever.
My son, once he found out it was fake, he went off it. He was like, oh,
he's already off it.
Yeah, he just went, nah, it's not real.
He's clean off of WWE.
It's a telenovela with gladiators. It's theater with gladiators. It's people watch it for the
yeah. But when I was a kid, you had George the Animal Steel, and he was like a mentally challenged fella who used to start eating the corner like foam, right? Right. And then you had
He definitely was special. I didn't even think about that. He was just like,
yeah. When you're a kid, he was a simpleton who used to just come and whack people around, right? Then you had Rowdy Roddy Piper, who was just a Scottish bloke. Then there was like Jake the Snake. Now, Jake the Snake's move was when he beat you up, he would then put a snake on you. That would choke you out until you started foam. They must have put foam things in their mouths, and the snake wasn't, because it looked like someone was dying.
Yeah, it was right. They made it look like it was getting poisoned, but it was a constrictor. You would never get him.
No. They would choke around the neck, and then they'd start foaming from the mouth, like because they were dying, right?
Yeah.
So you'd watch. He'd kill people with a snake. But they were all fun. You know what I mean? Then you had the Bushwhack brothers or whatever, which were the ones that like farmer boys who used to.
Who was the guy with the piece of wood? Hacksaw Jim Duggan?
Oh, I don't know.
He had a giant piece of wood and he'd go, oh!
But I liked how the stereotypes, there was one guy who was just like a yuppie millionaire, right? And he'd just show up in a suit, right? With like a cravat on. And everyone would be like, oh, damn him and his money, right? And then you had the managers back in the day, Mr. Fuji. who was just like this Asian stereotype who just stand off to the side, and he would, if your head was hanging out and no one was watching, he'd whack your head with a chair, and then he'd run away.
Totally
right?
legal.
Yeah, totally legal, right? And then obviously you had Hulk Hogan, who would get concussed. He'd be dead. His hand would be flopping up and down, and then they'd lift the hand up and it would stay, and he'd point the finger and he'd be back to full power. Not just full power, he would have full power plus more. So what I'm saying was it was fun back in the day, but now all the people are like The Undertaker and stuff. It's all dark and fucking...
I feel like in independent wrestling, there are a lot more creative things. Because like Katie did a documentary on Joey Ryan, and his whole shtick is that the competitor grabs his dick, and he has so much power in his penis that it like overtakes them, and they can't let go of his
They can't
dick.
let go of his dick?
And then he does this move where he like twists, and then the person flips, and that's how he knocks them
That's
out.
what her documentary's about?
Yeah,
That guy?
the
Oh,
Joey Ryan
I never
story. It's
watched it. I
fucking
shouldn't
great.
say that
It's
out loud.
really
I should-
good.
oh.
Fuck it. I want to watch some wrestling now.
Yeah. I'm actually pretty amped about it. I'm going.
So
I'm working on a documentary about Macho Man Randy Savage.
Oh, nice.
Are you really? Oh, nice.
A Florida man.
I like the documentary on not Georgie Animal Still, fucking
Andre the Giant.
Andre the Giant. That was a good one. Andre the
Yes,
Giant.
the
Andre the
guy who-
Giant used to shit in buckets on planes.
What were you saying, Billy?
You don't, Jim?
No, I'm a perfect size. Who here has ever fucked in an airplane toilet?
No.
No. I've had several wanks in them.
Why?
I've had maybe 10
Why would you
wanks in
jerk off
airplane.
an airplane toilet. It's disgusting.
Well, it's
I don't even
private.
want to shit in there.
What I do is I turn the phone onto porn and I put it in the mirror so I can watch it and listen to it at the same time. Right? And then because I'm on so many long haul flights.
Recently, you have?
I don't want to say this guy, right? But anyway, so
Was I on a plane with you when you did it?
yeah, but yeah. Anyway, so the thing is, I do that so that I can go to sleep, because if I'm on a long haul flight, I go, I need a nap now. But I tell you what, if I've had a wank in a plane, the cubicle's cleaner than when I went in there. I clean up
It's
brilliantly.
like a crime scene.
I
You
mop up
clean
the
with
whole
bleach
thing.
and everything.
There's nothing there. You could go in there with a bloody ultraviolet light, you wouldn't see it.
Okay. On that note, we're going to take a break. I think everyone needs to relax. Listen to...
I have a network sitcom.
Okay. We'll be right back.
Forrest, very clearly you work out.
That's what people say about me.
When you do work out, do you listen to music?
Yeah, I listen to music, podcasts. Yeah.
And how do you listen to them? With cumbersome earphones that have wires hanging off them that everyone can hear what you're hearing?
I have a boombox I put on my shoulder. It's very convenient to work out that way. Why? Is there a better way?
There is a better way.
Oh, okay.
You could get wireless earbuds from Raycon. Raycon earbuds start at half the price of any other wireless earbuds on the market, and they sound just as amazing as the top brands you already know. The newest model, the everyday E25 earbuds, are the best ones yet, with 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and more compact design that gives you that nice noise isolating fit. Raycon's earbuds are so comfortable, perfect for conference calls or binging podcasts.
Yeah. I use them.
I use I use Raycon earbuds during my last date, and I couldn't hear my girlfriend at all. It was heaven. Unlike your other wireless options, Raycon earbuds are both stylish and discreet with no dangling wires or stems.
I hate stems.
Oh, they make you look like a fucking asshole.
They're so distracting.
People have that
Seeds.
bloody the wires hanging out of
Yeah.
them. What year is it? 2004?
2017.
Yeah. Unlike some other wireless options, Raycon earbuds are both stylish and discreet
said
with no
this.
dangling wires. I've already said that.
You just got upset about this.
I'm still angry.
Say it again.
Just wanted to emphasize this
The
point.
company was co-founded by Ray J. Hey, if you want to watch his tape, you have the earbuds on. You can do that. And other celebrities like Snoop Dogg, Cardi B, and even Melissa Etheridge. Wait,
Why
even.
Yeah. She doesn't fit in there. It's like Snoop Dogg, Cardi B, and even Melissa
Yeah.
Etheridge.
Are obsessed with Raycons.
Yeah.
Pick up a pair and see what all the hype is about. Go on, do it. Call to action.
Now's the time to get the latest and greatest from Raycon. Get 15% off your order at buyraycon.com/I don't know. That's BUYRAYCON.com/IDONTKNOW for 15% off Raycon wireless earbuds.
Buyraycon.com/I don't know.
Okay, we're back.
All right, we're back. While we were on break, Kelly told us a story because I mentioned masturbating on planes. Kelly just made out with a stranger when she was 15 on a plane. Tell us more.
We were flying back from Hawaii. I was with my parents.
And if I start masturbating, just keep telling the story.
No, it's fine. I actually prefer when people masturbate during this story. The flight wasn't full, so I had moved back a few rows. He had moved forward a few rows. He was with his family too, and it was an overnight flight.
You were with your family.
Yeah. The best part is then when we got off the flight, we had a connecting flight, and
So it was all dark because it was a
Yeah, it was
nighttime
dark.
flight. Oh yeah.
And I saw him. I was walking with my dad. I saw him in the airport because he had a connecting flight too. And I waved to him, and my dad goes, "What? Did you make out with him or something?" And I was like, "Oh shit!" So I think my dad had walked to the bathroom and seen me making out with some stranger.
I'll tell you a good thing. Go.
I was that stranger.
Oh, really?
How did you not recognize
your name
me?
was Chris Watkins.
Wow.
He's Mormon.
One time when I was about 17, when I was 16, there was a girl that I was sleeping with, right? It was the second bird I ever had sex with. And she was over at my parents' house. My parents had gone to bed, and I was just out. I was meant to be, we were meant to be in separate rooms, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we were in the living room, and I was going down on her. She still was in her dress, like a summery dress. This is the 90s. This is how we all dressed. You know, those floral type of long dresses, right?
Yeah, I used to wear those.
And I was going down on her. She was sitting on the sofa, and I was going down on her. And then my father came out to get a drink from the fridge, and he walked into the room. It was dark, so she just put her skirt over my head. So my legs are just still sticking out the bottom of everything. And then I just stayed still, just with my mouth in her vagina, just like, oh no. My dad went and got a drink, and then he left, and he went off to he went back to bed, acted like he never saw it. Now, to this day, I don't know if he was just being polite and not mentioning the whole thing, or if he never saw it. I don't see how he could have not seen
He
it.
probably just thinks she had a really weird body.
Some hairy legs.
Yeah, she's just having a huge baby.
Her legs are facing the wrong way, upside down.
Hasn't this podcast taken a violent turn?
Yeah.
So here we
But
go.
we like it.
Let's pull it back to a couple
There
things.
is 0% chance that there is not some creepy dude with his ear to the lavatory door the next time you're on a flight,
Yeah,
Jim.
Def.
Fuck, I've blown it.
Mr. Jefferies. Okay, so a couple things. First,
You all do it. All you people sitting at home. All you people in your cars right now with your bloody. I've never done it in
you
a.
think they're masturbating to this podcast?
I've never done it in a. I've never done it in a public toilet. Never had a wank in a public toilet. Have you
Yeah,
ever?
as well. You shouldn't. You shouldn't have done it on an airplane one either. If you want to have sex with somebody else in an airplane, I still don't get that. But
Did you ever, when we were in the Jim Jefferies show, did you ever have a wank at work?
No. No, I didn't have a private
Yeah,
office.
you had a beautiful
I shared an office with two other writers. One of them was a woman.
You're a better man than me. I had my own office in it. You never had. I'm not.
I shared an office with Kelly the first year, and I just met her, so I didn't think that was a good icebreaker. And then,
But you would jerk off around me now, right?
Just for. No, I never did.
So getting back to steroids, so how do you feel, Jim? Like you just said, what's the downside to them? Do you think they should be allowed to do them? Because I think they should be allowed to I'm always been like,
What are we talking about now?
steroids.
Oh,
baseball.
steroids, performance enhancing. I think they should regulate it and let them use it, and that way they wouldn't have to get them off the black market, and they put some parameters on the thing so that people aren't hurting themselves.
What parameters?
Don't do too much of this.
pretty strict.
that would be the parameters. You do too much, you'll fuck yourself up. So you're only allowed this many tablets. You're only allowed this many. Whatever. But that doesn't work though, does it? Because then some cunt would take fucking more.
Yeah. Billy, I don't know. You did the whole doc on this. I mean, where do you? Because you kind of don't really take that side in this document. You kind of just say what happened. There's a few things at the end where you might but like where you have a couple clips of people. Like I think the
Like Sylvester
Pedro
Stallone
Gomez saying
is in
this.
his 70s and he looks great, and I reckon that's got to do with the roids.
Yeah, I've always been like, it's never really tipped me when people get busted for it. And I know that baseball's a big stat-driven game, so that's the thing. But it's fun to watch people hit home runs. I mean, I don't know.
What about boxing? Is it prevalent in boxing, or do they stop it in boxing? Because I feel like that's something that maybe they shouldn't have it. Because if you can thump someone harder,
And there are pre-fight drug tests. Same thing in MMA. They take, and then you'll be disqualified, and if you win, you lose the win and face suspension and fine potentially.
And are these steroids easy to mask? Like if you stop taking them, like how long do they stay in your body?
So this is part of what these guys sell in the Balco scandal, in the biogenesis scandal. These guys are saying we've got a protocol that you can work. If you take this amount at this time in this form, maybe you're injecting it. They had gummies made where you literally were eating gummies, you're ingesting them. And if you do it this amount of time before a game and stop at this point, that you could take a piss test and piss clean. I don't know that is actually that's possible. To get the benefit of them and then to not piss dirty, I think is actually impossible.
Have I ever told you the story about when I went to work for Budweiser?
I don't think so.
All right. So I had a job with Budweiser that I had for about 2 days. Right. when I first moved to England, I was doing stand-up comedy, but it wasn't paying the bills. So I got a job I want to say this was like it was the European Cup 2001, right? 2001. So I got this job to be a rep at Budweiser, and they gave me a smart car. That's how old the fucking smart cars are. Remember the smart cars?
Mm-hmm.
And it was covered in it looked like a Budweiser bottle. It was just Budweiser bunting all over it. My job was to go to the bars, and this is a terrible job for me because I have no eye for design or anything like that. And I was meant to set up fucking Budweiser like stuff around the have a bud and all that type of stuff.
I'm laughing because I know, like, been here.
Basically, one of those like shot girls at the bars now.
No. I would set the bar up to look good with all Budweiser merchandise.
That'd be impossible for you to do.
Yeah, because I'm not clean or tidy or anything like that, and I can't make things look nice. I can hardly dress myself.
Yeah, we can tell.
And so I was like, geez, I'm really unsuited for this job. But I had a car, and I was like I didn't know anyone who had a car in London. I was like pretty excited by this whole thing. Anyway, so they gave me the car and all that type of stuff. And then they said to me, they go, just one more thing. You have to do a drug test. And I was like, well, there is no way. like there's no way I was going to pass this. I had done ecstasy a day before. Right? I was still on drugs when they said it to me. Like, I was like, you know what I mean?
That's the worst time to take a drug test when you're on drugs.
And I was like, fuck it, I'll give it a go. How accurate are these things?
Pretty good, huh?
Pretty good.
I like how you thought science. You're gonna beat science.
I found out what drugs were in that ecstasy tablet. I had heroin and all sorts. So they took me car away, and then I was unemployed again.
That's fucking awesome. Yeah. Okay, we have some quick questions here, some of which we answered during this. Jim, we're gonna ask you this is a quiz at the end of this, right? We did this last time too. See if you remember some of these things. Okay, we'll start with one we didn't talk about. What percentage of MLB use steroids according to Jose Canseco, who definitely took steroids, right? Billy?
Okay. Yeah, Jose, I reckon he would say 70%.
85% is he reckons, because he in his book he said he shot at McGuire, right? Or
he shot up everybody in his book.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So so they do it to each other because it goes in the ass. Like they actually feed each other steroids.
Yeah, sometimes you need a friend, but not by the modern era. By the modern era, like I said, there was gummies. It was different ways of taking it.
I heard that Rod Stewart used to get Ronnie Wood, because Ronnie Wood used to be in Rod Stewart's band before he was in the Rolling Stones. Used to get Ronnie Wood to blow cocaine into his asshole because he didn't want to fuck up his vocal cords. That's
a friend.
That's a friend, man. The two of them used to do that, like, hey, who wants another line? And then he'd be going, please don't be Rod. Please don't be Rod.
Okay, here you go. We mentioned this. Let's see if you're paying attention. When did steroids become banned as a substance by Major League Baseball? What year?
91.
Yeah, good
Nice.
memory.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then when did they start testing for steroids, Major League Baseball?
After the report, we're going to say they started testing in the 2001.
2003, very close.
2003.
But that's crazy. There was 12 years where they're just like, oh, we'll
Yeah.
start testing now. It's
Yeah.
banned, but we'll start testing.
Yeah.
Okay, and one other question. In 2007, a study from Berkeley found that the economic benefit of using steroids over a 6-year Major League Baseball career was what amount to the player? Like, what did it increase them by taking steroids? And on average, not just like
30%.
No, like in millions. How many millions of dollars?
Oh, 5 million.
8.9 million.
Ah.
So you could earn, on average, you'd
Wow.
earn $9 million more if that's what they're saying, basically, over a 6-year career. That by taking. So why wouldn't there's no incentive
These
not
people
to
who
take
don't
it.
take steroids are
So
idiots.
that's why I've got money now, is all the drugs I took.
Exactly.
Drugs equals money.
So we like to do this, Billy. We like to, because the name of the show is I Don't Know About That. We do want to have one kind of fact, whether it's obscure or interesting or something that the audience can use at a party to impress people that other people might not know. Do you have something for us, like about steroids or steroids in baseball? Or
Yeah, well, I mean, just a quick fun story, because A-Rod has somehow seen this incredible resurgence in popularity, and I can't even say image rehabilitation, because nobody really liked him before. Suddenly he's like a pop culture hero. But when he was in the midst of his steroid regimen, the fake doctor Tony Bosch, would take his blood every once in a while in regular intervals to run tests on it, to check his testosterone level, to see if any of these illicit substances, or these banned substances, I should say, were turning up in his blood. So he never got to see Alex. He didn't get to see Alex that often. So one night they're at Live nightclub at the Fountain Blue Hotel in Miami Beach at a VIP area. And that was when they were seeing each other. So Tony took A-Rod into the men's room, into a stall. I don't know what the bathroom attendant must have thought, but the two of them went into a stall together, and Tony took blood from Alex, took a blood sample and put it in a vial. They go back to the VIP area, popping bottles, dancing, knowing Tony, he was probably, just coke everywhere. And he realized that he had lost the vial of blood that he had taken from A-Rod. And he whispered it to yelled like you do in a club. And the next thing you know, Tony and A-Rod are on all fours on the floor at Live nightclub, feeling around for a vial of blood that no doubt dancers and girls are knocking and kicking around the dance floor. As
Like that scene out of Temple of Doom in the beginning.
As the confetti cannon is blowing and everything else.
But they've got to think they're looking for drugs too. That's what whenever I saw someone down on all fours
Yeah.
on a
Yeah.
nightclub,
They
I'm like,
dropped a bag of coke.
I've always loved, because I remember we used to when you hand someone a pill, or someone you buy a pill, and they
Pills.
do that delicate little underneath backwards hand
We
thing
can all
where
see you.
where you act like you're shaking hands, and then you have it and you're like, hey, good seeing you again, and then you walk away, Anyway, but then you're so discreet when you're handing it to somebody. But then when you drop it, everyone's on their knees.
Yeah.
Not giving a fuck at this beer
Lights on your
sofa.
phone, like-
And everyone, this is before phones.
No, that's right, yeah.
Lighters, cigarette lighters,
That's right.
blazing, down like this, going, oh, like that. And then security will come over and, oh, we've lost a contact lens. then they're helping you out.
Contact lens. What would we do without contact lens? It's always a contact lens.
Yeah, one guy's just covering his eyes like, oh, no. Oh, look, there's also ecstasy tablet. People are, throw that out. Oh.
Okay, so we have one segment here, Billy, that that we do with Jim. It's called I Do Know About That.
I do
Now,
know
Kelly
about
and Jim and I have sat around and talked about possible topics for the shows of things that he says he does know about. I don't know why you said this topic, because
I had it written down and there was a question mark
Yeah,
next
I don't
to
think
it.
you know about this topic, but maybe you just had about pigeons.
Oh, yeah, I know a lot about
No, I
pigeons.
know, but this is the way it works. I have 3 questions, and I didn't make them too hard because I don't think you know a lot about pigeons. I don't know. So, first question: how fast do pigeons fly?
Oh, they can fly very fast. They
Yeah,
were
yeah.
used in the war,
We want
you
miles
see.
per hour. Yeah.
They were used in the war,
No,
you see.
don't go off topic. I want miles per
to
hour.
deliver things. I would say a pigeon can go 80 miles an hour.
Jesus.
Average speed 77.6 miles per hour.
Wow.
Yep.
Fastest recorded speed is 92.5 miles per hour, and they can fly at altitudes
But
up
that
and
pigeon
beyond.
was on performance-enhancing drugs.
Yeah, no, the average is, the pigeons I know can do these. That's
The pigeons I know.
you're talking the 77 miles is your East Coast pigeon, your West Coast pigeon fucking frangs.
Yeah. Okay. How far can a pigeon travel and return home?
Oh, a pigeon, because they have to send messages 200 miles.
No, up to 1,300 miles away. They've been doing 11 to 1,300 miles away. They can do it even if you transport them in isolation with no like visual or
Yeah,
olfactory.
that blew my
or-
mind
or
when I read that.
Like even if they were just like in a box, because they use like the sun to guide them, like an internal magnetic compass. They'll even use like landmarks, like signposts and stuff like that.
They're
incredible.
magical pigeons.
Yeah. And then this one is really hard. I don't know if you're gonna get it, but what is a pigeon named Cher Ami famous for?
That's Mike Tyson's pigeon.
No. But it was a good guess. You're very confident in that. But,
Yeah.
Cher
Mike
Ami,
Tyson loves pigeons.
I believed it.
Yeah.
you
So-
mentioned it earlier. The pigeons were used in the wars. Not only did they take pictures with cameras, like
Oh, he's the
spy
one with the camera around
no,
his
wait,
neck.
he's not the one with the camera, but this was like they would help save troops' lives by like, you know, they could like send messages and information to them. So Cher Ami completed a mission that led to the rescue of 194 stranded U.S. soldiers on October 4th, 1918. And overall, they saved hundreds of thousands of lives in the war. And so that was a very special.
They were before texting.
Yeah.
If you had some bird lives 500 miles away and you wanted to send her like, I got me dick out, I'm stroking it right now, type of text, you get your pigeon.
Maybe that goes 70 miles per hour.
you get your pigeon.
You have to
12
keep your erection for a
Yeah,
while.
and then you'd keep your dick out until the bird came back with another message. And the message would come back, who is this?
Okay, so that is our show for today.
How would the pigeon know where to go? I know it can get
That's what I'm
home. How
looking
does it know where to go?
I don't know that exactly. That's what, as I was reading this, Kelly was the one that got all these pigeon facts for us, and I was like reading this, and I know we did some stuff on pigeons on the show. Remember we did the thing about the war pigeons, and now it kind of made me want to get pigeons and start like
We've
making
got
them fly
time.
and shit. I don't like. I started Googling getting like buying pigeons last night. I was
That
like,
was one of my dad's hobbies as a kid, was trapping and collecting pigeons and then setting them free.
oh, so he knows about it.
He just liked
No, he just
catching
trapped
animals,
them
but
and
now
set them free.
but my dad's like the bird king. Like he's never owned a bird in his whole life, but he has birds that come and visit him, and they just come and fly into the house. The same birds every day come and visit him, fly into his house, and then just sit on his shoulder and watch telly with him. Forrest has seen it.
Yeah,
It's a real
he
thing.
does,
So
yeah,
that
he has-
needs to be written into the show.
Your dad is very
obviously.
good with animals.
Yeah, yeah.
He's got some sort of kinship with them. Yeah, like
That
some,
sounds like the next hit Netflix series, Bird King.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
he's very weird, and he has a slingshot next to his
yeah.
chair.
So that's not a complete kinship. No, that you're about to tell this story. I just
No,
know-
he has a slingshot next to him because he likes the lorikeets, which are very colourful rainbow lorikeets. He likes them, and then the cockatoos, which are the big white birds
that are
with
worth a
the-
lot of money here. but
Yeah,
they're
that are
just
very
wild in
exotic here, but they're
Australia.
wild everywhere in Australia.
Yeah.
My dad thinks they're a fucking nuisance, and they bother the lorikeets. So when the lorikeets come to visit and fly on the thing, if the cockatoo flies down and just stands next to him, my dad will hit them with a rock.
Oh my God, Gary.
And I asked him. I said, when I visited him the first time, I said, "That's gotta, what does I say? It's gonna hurt him or something like
Wouldn't
that."
that kill him?
Yeah, and he goes, I don't
No,
know.
no, it just scares them a bit. Yeah, so if they got it in the eye, they'd know about it. But I've never hit one of them in the eye. And one of them that he hits with a rock all the time keeps coming back. It's the same fucking bird.
It's into
It's a
it.
masochist.
So you only got 1 out of 3 of the pigeons, by the way. So you've done better on the stuff you're not supposed to know about most of the time.
Yeah, my knowledge is varied and not very good.
Okay. So you don't. Sorry, Billy, you don't get a voicemail recorded with Jim's name. You didn't win the pigeon contest. All right. Billy. So as we mentioned, Screwball, the documentary on Netflix. We talked a lot about stuff in that today. Also, CocaineCowboys.com. Visit. What happens on CocaineCowboys.com? I can imagine it's more.
Yeah. A lot of mail order, a lot of import, export, you know, the usual. No, it's our company website with all of our other documentaries, but Screwball, of course, as you mentioned, is now streaming on the Netflix machine.
And watch all of them. I've watched a lot of them. I haven't watched all of them, but I really enjoy your guys' work. It's really good. And And Billy Corben, anything else you want to say? Thank you for being here. If there's
Thanks
anything
for
else.
being
thank
here,
you.
Billy.
Thank you for having me. I will never follow Jim in a lavatory on an airplane.
No, he cleans it really. That's
Yeah,
the cleanest it's ever
it's-
gonna be.
it's
You
cleaner.
want to go in after him.
It's cleaner, or
I
you
don't
want
know.
to, or you want to go in while I'm there.
You can hold his phone
Yeah, I'm a member of the Mile High Club, but not in
just
the,
with yourself.
Yeah, just not a team member. Oh no,
Solo flight.
I've had a hand job underneath a blanket from a girlfriend. Does that count?
I think it has to be sex, right?
reckon
That's
it-
pretty good, though.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
had a
it's
hand
pretty
job
good.
under a blanket from a girlfriend.
Didn't they see the blanket moving?
Yeah, I love how people think that that's discreet. Just
No
show
one-
the dick, whatever.
No one was watching. You see.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's what you think.
Yeah, no, I had one of them. You've ever had a hand job, given a hand job to a bloke on a plane?
I've never had one on a
I wasn't talking to you.
Oh, Billy.
I was looking at you, but I was thinking of Forrest.
Yeah, you were making really serious eye contact with me, so.
And I never make eye contact.
No,
That
you
meant I
don't.
really was interested in what you were about to say. All right, everybody. That's I don't know about that. That sounded like a different edit. My voice
Yeah, it
changed.
did. It really
Like
did.
I've come in at a different time.
Yeah.
That's another episode of I Don't Know About That. And remember, if someone says something that you don't know about, just say, I don't know about that, and walk away. Good night, America.